What's up, you guys? Today on the show, we got Christian Hosoi, infamous OG skater, creator of Hosoi skateboards. We're going to be diving into the lifestyle today. Welcome to Vibe Check. What's good, guys? Welcome back to Vibe Check. Today, I got the infamous Christian Hosoi on. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, bud.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. I'm so blessed to have you on, and just want to say, first off, thank you for supporting, even my family's business too, because that's really where we met when I was a Grom, was Sancho's.
Wow. I remember when it first started, and your dad, super cool cat, and just to see him want to build up the community, do something cool, and to bring the cool vibe, the Sancho vibe, the lowriders, the artwork and all that, I think was cool for the community. And then, of course, raising a kid, in that environment, to see you grow up and to be, a guy that wants to not only be cool, but to give back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing stuff like this, I really believe, is kind of like a give back to people, to let them know how people think, what people are like. You know what I mean? Kind of like getting to know me or something like that.
100%.
Through questions that are asked, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, the interviewer can ask.
Well, dude, I'm so intrigued because I really just want to know a little bit more about just the story of, like the upbringing. Obviously, you're professional OG, just skater, one of my, my all-time favorites. You were one of the cultivators of this hardcore energy, just, making things known. So how did all that get started for you?
Well, everything starts with, innocence, right? You have this dream as a little kid. You just want to be, whether it's, for me, I wanted to be Bruce Lee. I was going to, do martial arts and be in films and kick people's butts and talk smack and, laugh about it. But then I got introduced to skateboarding, and that became my passion. And growing up in California, Venice Beach, LA area, sidewalk surfing was a big deal in the 70s. And I just remember going, this is kind of cool, because my dad was a surfer. He's on the Life magazine. He had a cover in Europe, in the 60s. Didn't know until a few years ago, but that's how much of a surfer he was. And then moved to California,
Wow.
Went to art school. He went to a Chenard's Art School Institute, and then to Berkeley. And I grew up in an art home. And so when skateboarding came in, it was almost like this newfound way of being able to let yourself out. It's an outlet, as a kid who growing up in like LA, it's either gangs, drugs, it's, or it's acting, entertainment, musician. You have all these things, tattooing, cars, whatever it may be, but skateboarding was the one that I felt like I could be like Bruce Lee and shred on people, like, you know what I mean, and rip people's face off.
Yeah.
Skateboarding. And so I immediately got hooked, and, along with that comes the peer pressure of being like your heroes. Like, I wanted to be like Bruce Lee. What did I do? I worked out, I read Taoism, Buddhism books, and I trained and I stretched. And then when I got into skateboarding, it was smoking weed, drinking beer, chasing girls, and, quitting school. And what did I do? I did all those things, you know what I mean? But there was something that drove me, and that was the ability to do it the best. And so all I wanted to do was be the best in the world. So I didn't even think of all that stuff. The peer pressure is just normal. Life is all about peer pressure. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. You're going to face peer pressure. And I was like, bring it on. I'm here to take over. I'm here to be the best. And my mentors like Shogo Kubo, Jay Adams, Tony Alva, and Polo Bear, these guys who were at Marina Del Rey Skate Park. My dad managed the Marina Del Rey Skate Park.
Sick.
And so I kind of got mentored by these guys that looked at me. And this is what I'm so thankful for, is that they looked at me and they said, hey, man, you got it. You know what? You can do it. You can be the best. And I went like this, whoa, I can be the best. All I wanted to do was be, now these guys are telling me that, I could probably be the best. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be and you believe what people tell you.
Right.
That's why, you know, the Bible says life and death is in the power of the tongue. We could either build people up or we could tear people down. And so for me, those edifying words were like what catapulted me into like staying in that game and not allowing anything get in the way. You know what I mean? It wasn't going to be girls. It wasn't going to be money. It wasn't going to be fame. It was going to be me wanting to be the best in the world. And I remember my dad fanning that flame and saying, you can do it. You've got what it, and he's like, where do you want to go? You want to go to the skateboard? Go to that skate park. I'll drive you. I'll take you anytime, pick you up at any time. And I was just like, wow, I want to go every day, all day. And he's like, I guess I got to manage the skate park. And it became my backyard, and the rest is history.
Dope.
You know what I mean? And so that's how it all started, you know. And yeah, I'm pretty fortunate to be sitting in this chair to be able to talk about it with the roller coaster life that I lived.
100%. No, you've definitely been like water for sure, you know, and that's just going to go all different directions. And it's funny because I feel like even back in that time too, like with Tony Hawk, were you guys like, it was like kind of like a competition kind of thing, obviously, right? Like you were like more like a rebel. He's like a good boy. Like, is that kind of how that all went down, or?
It was like that. There was, you know, the factions, the subcultures within a culture. There was, you know, the Thrasher magazine, you know, independent trucks, and then there was Trans World Tracker trucks, and then it had San Diego, San Francisco, LA, and it was like this, it was kind of like this clash of cultures fighting for their heroes. So here's Tony Hawk, one of the most progressive he was the most progressive skateboarder of the day at a young age, and that I was the, you know, high flying, you know, style guy that everyone talks about.
Right.
And it was this amazing like battle. There was this rivalry that happened, and it was just natural. It wasn't planned. We didn't have like, this is going to be our guy. No, me and him loved what we did, put in the work, and then we faced off, you know what I mean? And it became this like incredible push every single competition to go up against, because there was, you know, you want to win, but who's your competitor? Well, he was mine, and, you know, a lot of people say I was his. And so, but then the fans made it even more of a kind of like a separation. It was like this, you know, we're rooting for this and we're rooting for this. And it became this amazing, you know, vibe when it came to competitive skateboarding. Like to this day, I try to think about who are the, you know, rivalries in any sport, and all I can think about is like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, right? That's like a heavy one. That was like cool. LA Magic against Larry Bird, white guy, Boston, and it was like, it was a battle every time. Or there's, you know, obviously the boxing, whether it be you know, Muhammad Ali, Thriller Manila, right? George Foreman, but then he had other competitors. Right? That Tyson had no competitors.
Or even you have like Kelly
Sugar
Slater.
Ray had, you know, Roberto Duran, but then he had marvelous Marvin Hagler, right? So there's no one industry, sports, you know, discipline that had like this one rivalry. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing that happened, and, you know, to be a part of that, to, you know, experience that for me, and to, you know, even today, me and Tony get to go and do demos together, and it still has that cool vibe, you know what I mean? People are like, you're my guy, and he's my guy, and you know what I mean? And it's like, and they relive their childhood. You know, and now they're like a grandpa telling their kid and their grandkid, and they're getting photos, and their kids are like, oh, look at dad. You know what I mean? He's stoked. He's a kid again. And to still be able to do what we do is pretty remarkable. I didn't think we'd skate past 30.
I mean, thankfully you did, though, because you guys, you created that synergy, though, of just skating hard, you know? And I really admire that for me personally.
And I learned that from Hollywood, you know, entertainment and performance and dance and, you know, music and just being a performer as well as an athlete, we created this, like, the fun side of skateboarding. I think the aggressive side, the attitude of skateboarding versus the professional aspect, because when it was just 70s and kind of like, not that cool, to the 80s when punk came in, hip hop came in, reggae came in, it was like this melting pot of like cool styles, fashion, attitude, music, and it gave skateboarding gave all that a sense of place to like express itself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's why, I think skateboarding is like unique compared to any other sport, because it's more of a lifestyle, you know, and it's kind of like how you just live your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do it whether I was paid or not. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between those people who love what they do and do it for something.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember seeing like this quote, and it was saying how when you hear skateboards coming, it's like the sound of freedom, because that sound, it's a synergy behind it. It's a youthful thing.
There's an independence. I think that people, have a way of like, being able to not follow the trend or be in a box or, follow the leader. You are your own leader when it comes to skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no one telling you where to go, how to do it, where to do it. And it's probably going to be done where you have to trespass anyway. And so there's this rebel aspect to skateboarding that I think creates this, like, it's almost like a thrill at the same time to get the adrenaline flowing, so that you feel like you're pushing the boundaries, even, with your own ability, trying a trick you've never made, and you got to go out there and try it. You slam, you get hurt, you got to come back and you got to try it again, or you give up and you quit and you say, throw in the towel, where that's not who we are.
No.
We're going to come back and we're going to do it. And next, after that's accomplished, you go to the next, feat that you have to try and do.
Yeah.
And for us, it was tricks every single day, try something new. And even today, I'm still trying to do something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like old stuff, doing the stuff that I used to do for the first time in years is like doing it over again.
Yeah.
And so you get to relive that same joyful, like, accomplishment that I think everybody should experience in life.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because it really does mold your character and let you not have a quitting attitude, that throw in the towel, attitude that, what, I'm just going to quit. It's too dangerous. Nope, we're not quitting. We're not going to be stupid and do it to the point of death or to where we hurt somebody else, but we're not going to quit if we still got something left to give.
100%.
And I think that applies to life for me. I've been through some pretty crazy, tough stuff, and I didn't know how tough I was until I had to go through the hardships and the tribulations that really molded my character and gave me a sense of, like, almost value, almost self-worth, almost like, accomplished through being humble, not through being arrogant or conceited or confident, or however you feel when you're like ripping or winning and you're getting the awards and all that, the accolades. I think it's more of, discovering your strengths, when you go through something difficult, which I always say I learned way more from, making bad choices than I did from winning contests or, getting awards and making tons of money.
Yeah. Would you say, like, what would you say actually one of your hardest times would be that you've been through and you just learned so much?
Well, I had a tumultuous kind of like life where, you grew up in skateboarding, and I did a lot of drugs early. I quit cocaine at like 17. I was doing, weed at 8, 9, 10, 12. I was doing acid, 13 mushrooms, 14 cocaine, and ecstasy, 15. It was like full blown. 16, it was like raging partying, pro skateboarder, riding for Alva, Sims. And then at 17, I was like, you know what? I need to get my act together. I quit doing cocaine every day, only on the weekends now. and I focused on my skateboarding, and that's when Hosoi Skateboard started. It was 40 years ago, 1984.
Wow.
And so, and I remember just going, I got to like, sacrifice that for my vision and my goals. And that's when my dad, said, I'll help you out. We'll do the company. My mom, we started a corporation together, Christian Hosoi Enterprises Incorporated, and hit the skate shops running with all our product. Me and Pops went and got 2,000 boards, hand screened them ourselves in the garage.
Damn.
And just said, we got boards for sale, and boom, it blew up. You know what I mean? Right out the gate, And that story, I mean, how I started Hosoi was crazy. I was hanging out with gangsters and, borrowing money and having to, pay them back for my business and get legit. Went from like straight, underground to legit, and then to do things right. And it was a radical moment for us to take skateboarding where it was backyards. Thrasher magazine just opened up 81 to 85. We're in like arenas and doing street style contests and like, big contracts, making a lot of money and, traveling the world. And, I had a team and just things were really doing well in like the mid 80s to the late 80s.
And that was when so was it just like the synergy got gnarly, the whole vibe popped off when you started just skating for yourself? Like you're on your board and then the competition's coming in.
Yeah, I had my team of guys. And we would travel and I just, we just raged everywhere we went. We went everywhere and skated everything and just, basically just shredded everything that we could, shred on in every town that we went to. And then we brought our vibe, you bring your company vibe. For me, Hosoi is kind of like what people see in like my documentary or in my book. You kind of get a vibe of what it was like and how, my life was, clubs every night, hanging out with all kinds of crazy, famous people, whatever, but I think that lifestyle was so kind of like romantic, you know what I mean? There was a romance to it for any guy that wants to be empowered, wants to be the best at something, that wants to travel the world, wants to have money and wants to have sponsors and girls and all that. And I think that there is a romance to it that was intoxicating, to the point of like, if you don't have a foundation, a principled foundation in you, like me, now I'm a believer in Jesus and Christ, and my nickname was Christ. I invented a Christ there. My name's Christian. And I never even went to church, never read a Bible once in my life until I went to prison in 2000. Never.
Okay.
And, to think that a person who has all those like spiritual markers in their life, somebody would have reached out and talked to me about it.
Yeah.
But no one really did in a way that captivated me to go and, just try to discover what they're talking about. And so just those are the things that, now I look back and it's so ironic. And now I'm a pastor at the Sanctuary Church for 18 years. I've been a believer for 24 years now. I've been sober for 24 years.
Wow.
And only by the grace of God that I can say that I could stay sober or can not go back into the lifestyle, because that lifestyle was fun, is fun, seems fun, but at the end of the day, it's not God's plan for your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everyone, who's listening to this is going, I've got all these spiritual markers in my life, but there comes a point where it's either going to be you get just going, you know what, let me self-discovery this and try it before you hit rock bottom. For me, wheels had to fall off, rock bottom, in a cell, can't get myself out of it, and finally went like this: God, if you're real, will you help me?
Right.
And then I opened up the Bible and it was like, boom, the light bulb went on, the scales fell off, and I realized that I was created for a purpose. There was a plan for my life. It wasn't just to be a pro skateboarder. It wasn't here to just be a good guy. It wasn't here to just be sober. There was a mission for my life, and that's to share the love of God with other people that could keep them strong, that could keep them, break the chains of addiction in their lives, or just understanding what heaven is. Because really, that's the bottom line, is that there's a heaven and there's a hell.
Right.
And we're going to go to either one. And for me, when I realized that, sitting in that cell, I went, wow, all these people that I know, good people, are going to go to hell if they don't have Christ. And so I went, God, I'll go out there and tell people, use my story, my testimony. And I just remember feeling so free and so like at peace in a prison cell for the first time in my life, that I knew there was a plan. I knew that God had a plan, and it was to be a person who cares about other people, not just myself.
Right.
Because I used to, care about my friends, care about my team and my family. But when you really care about people's souls, where they're going to spend eternity, things really change. And then you really do care. And I think that that's what's going to reach this world and the people like myself before I came to Christ. That, there's somebody who actually cares, that's going to look at me and go, hey, man, your name's Christian, your nickname's Christ, and you invented the Christhood. Can I talk to you about, who Jesus is and the love of God, the mercy of God, the forgiveness of God, about heaven, you know what I mean? And spend that time. Like now I use my story. It's in a documentary. I got a book. I get to share it. And now it's like my platform and my vehicle to share my faith with other people, like this podcast. It's amazing.
Right.
I get to do this. But there's got to be like a authentically sincere, like, relationship with God that I believe is going to reach this world. Because kids are smart. They're not buying garbage. They're not buying bull. They're not manipulated. I was that kid that wasn't going to be manipulated.
Right.
And I don't know why I didn't discover God back then, or somebody got my attention, but I wasn't buying what they were selling because it wasn't sold right. I don't know what it was, but there comes a point where we need to reach people right now, because we're living in some crazy days.
Oh, yeah.
I believe we're living in the last days, the end times. I believe Jesus is coming back soon. And that's why, any opportunity that I can say to people that don't wait, don't delay, open your heart up and accept God's love. And not just because, you take my word for it. It's you need to do your own research. Like,
Right.
I did my research. Somebody told me that, and I went like this, you know what? Let me make sure. And I read, and then I prayed, and then God spoke to me and said, I am who I say I am, what that word's, and I was convinced, completely convinced, and then I gave my life, and then now I'll die for my faith.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that becomes so real that, other people will go, well, either he's following a complete fantasy or it's true. And that's what I just tell people. Well, you need to pick one.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep moving because I have peace. I know where I'm headed. My citizenship is in heaven. And, I got Christ on my arms. I got crosses everywhere. You know what I mean? I've got angels. I've got sacred hearts. All that is almost like jewelry for people to see what I believe in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so any way that I can use my my fame or my persona to just influence people for different reasons than I used to.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing for me. It's a blessing.
Absolutely. No, and so with all your work, when did you start collecting?
So I got my first tattoo 11 years ago.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? No tattoos. Jay Adams, he's like, yeah, let's go get tattoos. Me, him, and Jesse Martinez, and we're going to get Thrasher tattoos. And we go down there in Venice, and he's like, I was like, guard, go first. He's like, oh. I was like, oh, yeah, that looks like it's killing. And then I looked at it, it was like janky. I was like, and then Jesse got his, and I'm like, I'm not getting one. They're like, what? You're a kook? I was like, no. I don't need one like that. And then I watched them get more, and then they didn't have it down yet. You know what I mean? I was friends with Mark Mahoney and Bob Roberts and these guys up in Hollywood just throughout the circles. And, you know, at 18, I was going to get Bob Marley on my shoulder. And he went out of town for like 3 weeks. And then he got back and I was like, you know what, maybe I want Jimi Hendrix. And then I was like, you know what, maybe no tattoo. Like literally, that was a moment at 18 years old that I had. And then I went, you know what, I'd never wear a shirt. I'm like in spandex shorts. I'm like, no tattoos. I'm like, you know, cruising around. I was like, everyone's got tattoos. I was like, I'll be the one with no tattoos.
Okay.
And it was a thing that I did. So it was almost on purpose.
Yeah.
And then when I was like, got out of prison, you know what I mean? And I'm like on fire for God. I was like, man, this could be a great way to testify without having to say anything. And I said, and then I was like, and I'm friends with all the tattoo artists. They're the best in the world. And I was like hanging out with them. And I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's do it. I got my first tattoo from Aaron Murray, my friend, pro skateboarder.
Dope.
Who I grew up since we were babies.
Wow.
His parents and mine went to art school together. So we got that and then got Christ. I got the, you know, praying hands. I got so many amazing tattoos in such a short time. You know, I think Tommy Montoya is the one that said it to me. He's like, there's time and then there's tattoo time. He goes, the longer you wait to get tattoos, the more they hurt. And I was like, I don't ever remember. So if I get them now, they won't hurt anymore. He's like, nope, you'll still have the endorphins. You'll still be stoked on it. The pain won't be as bad, but wait until you, like, for me, 20 years later, I can't stand it. And I was like, I'm going to get them as fast as possible. And so I just went and just did it as fast as possible. And, you know, Louis Perez, Big Island Mike, you know, Tommy, Dan Smith. I mean, I have a leg of like just people from around the world that's just like anything.
Yeah.
But then I did a lot of my dad's art that they did a lot of copying on and just did it. Just, you know, I had fun with it. And, you know, for me, it's art. And I'm still trying to fill up the last little spots, you know, like right here, like to get my face tatted, you know, all that, because, you know, it's something I like, it's something I love, and it's art. Right. And if it can shine the light on Christ, I'll go for it. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. And I think it's funny. I was talking to Jeremy, he was saying and mentioning too, like, the more tattoos you get, and I'll ask you, like, do you feel like they hurt more as you get more? Or would you say it's like
you know,
older?
For me, I think I've understood the pain threshold, like when it hurts and when it stops hurting. So, because I've had them so many times so fast that I processed how the pain is. Big ones, you know, big back pieces, ribs. I did all, you know, all the hard places, knees, everywhere. Right. And I thought it would hurt, but the you know, it's funny. This one hurt the most, like right here, where everybody gets it one tattoo. I'm like, it's like the word. No wonder they'll only get one tattoo. They're like, tattoos kill. And the inside of my foot was very painful. But other than that, I think that it's a matter of understanding. You know, when the pain, it's gonna hurt at first.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna go away. So I know that. Yeah. So for me, it doesn't bother me, but I was able to continually do it on a consistent basis. So I processed that and I got to see, and then I, you know, now I know. It's not like it was far. I forgot what happened. Oh, that was painful. When did it? No, I knew when the pain started, when it ends. It's like icing. I consider it like icing. The first 2 minutes are terrible. And then you're like dying and then it's gone. Right. It's similar to that.
Yeah, even cold plunging. I mean, I wanted to get my whole body suited up just like my dad as fast as I could. Mm-hmm. You know, I got some spots left, but 32, I'm like, I just wanted to be done. Because the more I talk even to my dad, you know, face, everything, he always complains. He's like, man, this sucks. Like, I hate getting tattooed now. You know, so.
Yeah, you just got to not be a sissy and do it like, you know, with the numbing cream. Yeah. I would get those and then my buddies were like, yeah, numbing cream. And I'm like, yeah. Right? But I would bring it and I would get tattooed, and just that I had it, I didn't need to use it.
Right.
So when you don't have it, you're like, I wish I had it. So now I just, see, I already overcame it.
Right.
So I don't even use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would be only for like a massive piece, you know what I mean, that you got to go over, do white over it, then add something over that, and then go over it again. And the tattoo artists that I know are like brilliant. They go so fast. They are so good that it's not like that go over it and damage skin and,
Yeah.
you know, digging deeper and trying to get color. No, these guys are like the best in the world. And so I never really trip on it anymore, like the pain. And matter of fact, I think the pain, you know, keeps your like, you know, I'm alive.
Right.
You know, it's like getting injured in skateboarding. When I get injured, I go, yeah, I'm alive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I jacked my calf and it's like a little tiny muscle and I'm like, dang, but I'm alive. You know what I mean? You know, you realize, because you take for granted things when everything's working smoothly, and you get kind of like comfortably numb to like things that are happening. But when you get hurt or something happens, or you know, feel some pain, it brings you back down to earth, and it makes you appreciate the small stuff. You don't let the small stuff get by, and be thankful for that as well.
Right.
You know, even though we have a lot of big things to celebrate, we gotta, like, you know, remember the small things. And when you can remember the small things, I think that, you know, that type of gratefulness, that type of, you know, just understanding of like friends, family, people who you can trust.
Yeah.
Like that's worth more than money.
100%.
You know what I mean? And so for me, you know, I equate a lot of those things to that because, you know, I was in prison for like almost 5 years. So for me, being taken away from your family and having to live this different life of completely, you know, separated from the world in this, you know, world of, you know, prison life, it was the most incredible experience now ever. I would tell people to volunteer for that.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? But God has to be involved, or else it's going to be, you're going to get stuck in the situation of like politics. You're going to get stuck into racial segregation, and you're going to pick sides. And, you know, but I got saved literally 2 weeks into my sentence, and I became like the Christian you know, Christian, you know what I mean? Like in jail, praying for everybody, doing Bible studies after every dinner, and just being able to minister to like the Southsiders, the Paisas, the Woods, the Blacks, the you know, I mean, it became this amazing, because they couldn't come to the Bible study.
Yeah.
But yet they were all stoked on Hosoi. Dude,
Right.
Man,
Right.
what's up? We want to hang out, you know, talk to my kid. Can you tell my kid on the street, he knows who you are? And I'd be talking to him on the, you know, telephone, tell him, what's up? All right, God bless you. Let me pray for you. You know what I mean? And I think that that's, you know, where, you know, it really did mold who this guy is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'd be like if I didn't go to jail. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
like,
yeah.
it's something that I'm always so appreciative of now, that I hope that everybody who goes to jail gets what I got.
Right.
Because either, you know, you'll go to jail and time will take advantage of you, or you'll take advantage of the time.
Right.
And I took advantage of that time, and I just, you know, discovered who I am in Christ, and then became this, like, just, you know, I wanted to help people where I was at. I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait till I get out. I was like, no, I can help people right here.
Right now.
You know, where I'm at. And so, you know, a lot of people, you know, want to be somewhere in the future, but they don't want to, you know, be present because they have these big dreams, big goals. But be present, you know what I mean? And take advantage of that, your present time, because it's going to be the past soon. And you're going to look at it and go, well, I should have, would have, could have done something. well, I got this goal and I've sacrificed all of this stuff that I could enjoy in the present. Like smell the roses. I like that term, right? Stop and smell the roses. I'll post that a lot because so many people don't. I did it. I didn't appreciate what I did at the time. I was just next contest, next trick, next, whatever it was, party, next girl, next drug, whatever it was, it didn't matter. It was next. And I didn't even celebrate winning that contest, getting the cover or pushing the boundaries. I didn't even understand that.
Yeah.
Because I was just like creating and just moving so fast until I finally got locked up and I went, wow, I did do a lot. I did have an effect. Yeah. I did make a difference. I did care. I did give a lot. And then people would come to me and go, man, you did this for me. You did that for me. Man, I remember you paid for it. You did. And I was like, wow, okay. So now I'm starting to hear what my good qualities were, with all the, the dark side that comes in, you know what I mean? But, now I'm grateful for what I did.
Yeah.
And I can actually appreciate the things that I've done in a humble way. Not in like, I smashed it. We killed that. What? We took over, man. We dominated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it was back in the day. We're like, what?
Just
We
chaos.
came, we saw, we conquered. Vini, vidi, vici. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had the shirt on that said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like I go, wow, we really did have a good time. We pushed it. We represented who we were, and we didn't, just wreak havoc. We actually tried to help build up people and compliment what they were doing. And everywhere we would encourage people, because, as a leader, you want to, share the things that you're passionate about with other people.
Yeah.
You don't want to keep it a secret. You don't want to be like, yeah, no one can have it. If you're really passionate, you want, like Bruce Lee said, Kung Fu's for the world. The Chinese were like, no, it's for us only. He's like, nope, it's going to be, and sure enough,
Wow.
it's for the world. Just like, me and skateboarding, it was going to be for the world. And now my faith, it's for the world. You know what I mean? This is it.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're passionate about it, you can't shut up.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? And you're gonna care, you're gonna respect it, you're gonna protect it. And that's, been kind of like how I was raised by my parents. It was always about generosity, thoughtfulness, honesty, being loyal, and those are the qualities of character and integrity that, now I look at, I go, wow, that's where true riches are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do I want to be rich? Of course. Who doesn't want to be rich? I want to be able to help, people with the money that I get. So the goal is to, build up the Hosoi brand, all the companies, the ideas that I have, and, be able to encourage people to follow their dreams as well.
Right.
And be professional, be honest, be generous, and giving. And those things are just part of who I am now.
Yeah.
But I have 4 kids, James 35, Rhythm's 26, Classic is 17, Endless is 14, and amazing boys.
So cool.
It's my dad's still with me. My mom passed in 2009, but she saw the new guy, I put her through a lot of, I bet you, now that I have kids, I know what I've put my mom and my dad through, and I've made my, amends with them and said, I'm sorry, but I got to lead them to Christ and to share my faith with them and them get connected with God. And then she went on to be heaven. And then now my dad's with me. He's like singing, gospel songs and doing godly art. And we're about ready to start working on his art career and his music career.
Nice.
And just, it's funny how he supported mine. Now I'm going to support his.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth like that. And he just got his own tattoo kit from Franco at Bishop,
Hell
and
yeah.
he's got all of his stuff. He's ready to start tattooing. I mean,
Yep.
today we were at Ipono Cafe in Costa Mesa Hawaiian restaurant,
Yep.
and he painted while everybody's at the restaurant right in front, Duke Kahanamoku on a longboard, because they have Duke, they have the Queen, they've got all these photos inside the restaurant, and so they're gonna put that board right up in the restaurant, and
Sick.
just we're living, we're having fun. We're trying to encourage people to follow their dreams. And, he's living on Big Island. He's got an art studio there, but we're going to get a place here in Costa Mesa. He'll be living in like a wing of our house, have it as a studio, me and my boys, and just build up the Hosoi empire and legacy, to hopefully we can share our story with the world through it. Because that's really what's cool about brands, cool about products. It's the story behind what they are.
Right.
Even Sullen or Sancho's.
Yeah.
The story behind it is a big deal.
Truth.
People want to know what your struggles were, how'd you get there, how'd you succeed? And when you can give them good answers that they're going to have to, answer those questions to, man.
You could help a lot of people like you are,
hey.
man. Truly.
How much it took for me to get those answers and how much heartache and pain it was to come to this revelation of these things, where they can learn it in a podcast.
Right.
They can learn it in a book or a documentary or interview, whatever it may be.
Right.
That's
Priceless.
how I learned.
Yep.
I paid attention. I listened. I followed those who I looked up to. And here I am today, still, fighting, to be a, professional skateboarder at 56 years old and pastor at the Sanctuary Church. And now wanting to be a businessman, with my companies and work with sponsors, travel the world. I'm going to Europe this month with Vans, and then I'm going to Asia with Vans next month.
So sick.
And we're going to do a demo with Tony Hawk out in Utah, like in June. Red Bull's doing a thing in Venice coming up May 31st. It's going to highlight where, we skated every single day in the 80s, where street skating really was culminating and became this cool vibe where it was quarter pipes, wall rides, jump ramps, and curbs, and pole jams. It all started right there in Venice, and we're going to do an event down there. And it just keeps happening, every year. And to still be able to do what I love, I can only imagine people who can do what they love, how they feel, because there's nothing greater than, still being able to be passionate about what you did when you were a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? For me, that's something that I'm still kind of like pinching myself going, I get to skateboard still for a living.
Right.
It's bananas. Like for me, I'm like, and I, tattoo artists, chefs, whether it be motorcycle builders, surfers and freestyle motorcycle, the radical sports, the MMA fighters, like that type of stuff is like artists, musicians. Those fields are just so rad.
Right.
Because they dictate, their own time. They push, when they want to push, they relax when they want to relax. They can be creative. They could relax and, be focused on other things. But the proof is in the pudding on what you're doing. It's what you're creating. It's who you're influencing. It's if you're really, making a difference in other people's lives, to receive is great, but the Bible said it's more blessed to give than to receive. Christ said that. And for me, I always think about that. And so I just want to give more than I receive all the time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, man. I appreciate all the influence that you brought, to this show, to all the people watching. And is there anything you want to give to the people on just what's coming up? Anything more with Hosoi or You know, anything?
Yeah, I mean, got tons of stuff. It's always on social medias, all that stuff. But, you know, I think that this season is all about just looking out for your brothers and sisters, because there's so many people hurting right now.
Yeah.
They're going through depression. They're going through addiction. They're going through, especially in our circles of cultures and lifestyles, you know what I mean? It's so hard to not feel like you're on stage and you got to perform. You got to act like everything's cool. You got to be cool. You got to be hard. You know what I mean? And we just need to be very sensitive to those around us so that we can, you know, check on them and be like, hey, you all right? You know, and not just say, are you all right? And he goes, yeah, I'm doing great. And us overlook it. We need to like say, hey, let's hang out. You know what I mean? Because if I sense something, I'm going to keep, you know, asking you questions that will maybe make you, you know, and then I pray, I go, Lord, you know, if I can, you know, be of any service and open and available, I want, and sure enough, it always opens up if God has you there to help somebody. And so for me, I think that that's the season we're in. So many people are feeling hopeless. Our government, the way that the laws are, how they're, you know, treating kids, whether it be, you know, all the crazy agendas going on. Like, I never followed government stuff when I was a skater.
Nah.
And now I care, though, about our government because I care about people.
Right.
And so now I have this, you know, almost like responsibility to guide people, to lead people, and to keep them grounded in who they are so that they don't get caught up in, you know, media, social media, just the things of life that can just consume you, and then you drown, and next thing you know, you're either, you know, kind of numbing the pain with, you know, addiction, or you're just, you know, depressed and you act like everything's fine. So
Yeah.
I would say this is a good season for us to be mentors, big brothers, to kids, especially, you know, this next generation of kids. They're looking for somebody who's going to say something to them,
Yeah.
stand in their way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be a little bit of a big brother to them, because so many people are afraid to say something to these kids, even at the skate park. You know, when a kid has a bad attitude, I go, hey, how's it going, bud? And they go, what? And I go, well, I see, you know, you're getting an attitude, and you need to learn how to have respect, or else it's going to be bad for you. And next thing you know, he's like, whoa, he cares, but, you know, he still has to be hard.
Right.
And then I go, you know, are you okay? And then they go, yeah, you know what, I'm fine. You know what? And then all of a sudden they're like, I'm Christian. I grew up in a Christian home. I just, you know, had a bad attitude, and, you know, and I'm sorry. You know, and it wasn't me saying I'm a Christian. It's just me saying, hey, I care about you, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do
Hell
to
yeah.
this next generation of, you know, up and coming killer, you know, artists and musicians and skaters and, you know, people who are trying to, you know, be entrepreneurs. You know, give a little guidance along the way.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Yoda, Mr. Miyagi, whatever you want to call it, right? be like that words of wisdom in their life.
Yeah.
I think that's our opportunity.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show today, man. And like Christian said, you guys better check your vibe. Stay followed up with Hosoi Skateboards, SullenTV, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Thanks,
Check
brother.
your vibe. That's dope.
Let's go.
Checking the vibe, baby. Checking the vibe. God bless you guys.
That was Vibe Check. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go ahead and comment below on who you guys want to see on the show, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.